Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Friday lunchtime, which means it's time for us to be talking about coping with feelings. We all have them, and they either work for us or against us, as I think you all know. So, a very big welcome to you all, and feel free, if you are new to the broadcast, feel free to just listen in or watch, do whatever you wish. There is no need for you to participate in the chit chat, but if you'd like to, you are more than welcome. We love to meet new people. Let us know where you're from. And if you've got any issues that you particularly would like me to talk about, please let us know. If I don't have time to talk about it in today's broadcast, I certainly will do what I can to address the topic in an upcoming broadcast. So the main thing is to let us know that you would like something talked about, if you're struggling about something, or you know somebody maybe who's struggling about something that you think we might be able to shed a bit of light on. I'm absolutely delighted that, with the viewers that do that. And I've noticed that when viewers write to me about stuff, it just helps other viewers so much more. So hello to Jeannie, hello to Jody. And for those of you who don't know, Jody is our admin. She actually keeps me on track. Hello to Sandy and anybody else watching I can see a few other people watching in the shadows there. A very big welcome to you, and hope you enjoy the program. I'm going to be talking, of course, today a little bit more about coping with feelings, because for those of you who don't know, this time next week, I will have returned, if you can believe this, after 6 months, I will have returned to my home. I was... I wanted to say dislocated. Yeah, from my home 6 months ago because of a fire. I was relocated to this, actually, first of all, to one hotel, and then I relocated to another hotel, and then eventually I came to this furnished apartment the fire was late September 24th, I think. And by November, I was here. So I've been away from my home for 6 months, and you can imagine that I've now managed to cost out the things that I lost, and not the cost of repairing everything, but the things that I lost just in a fire in my bathroom, and that smoke damage that happened in my bedroom, and water damage that happened in my bedroom. That has now added up to about $12,000 worth of damage. How do you think that feels? That, you could have that much, actually not damage, sorry, the damage was over 100,000. But can you imagine what that feels like, that I, in such a small area, have lost that much? Now, for those of you who don't know, Jeannie, who's also in the broadcast today, her house totally burnt down. Just to the basement. And, Jeannie, I keep thinking about, it must be a horrific amount of money that you have in terms of cost of rebuilding, but then also in terms of cost of your items. And I'm going to be talking a bit more tonight. For those of you who might not have ever been through this process, what I would like to do tonight is talk a bit about that, that process of insurance and how it works, so that you are aware how to better insure yourself, but also how to better be prepared for the process that comes. And I'm sure you that Jeannie and I by now are getting pretty experienced about all the ins and outs of all this stuff. So hopefully we'll be able to give you some input. And Jeannie, any suggestions you might have from your experience, feel free to drop me a note on Messenger or something, just so that I can add your comments into the broadcast. I want to make sure that you all understand that coping with feelings of fear, of anxiety, of all those different feelings, we all deal with them every day. I know that before I understood as much as I do today, I always thought I was the only one, struggling with these things. I didn't realize that everybody has these feelings, but they just deal with them in different ways. And in fact, what I realize now is the way in which we deal with our feelings determines how happy we will be in life. I mean, it's actually that simple. How we deal with our feelings will determine how happy we are in life, because, well, you're going to see that as we go through some of the stories here. And if any of you do have a subject about which you'd like me to talk today, let me know now so that I know to leave a bit of time to talk about that a bit later on. Before I carry on, just a quick reality check here. Please know that I'm not a psychologist, psychiatrist, therapist, anything like that. I'm a human being who, by the virtue of the color of my hair, has lived a while. And during that time, I have been through good times and bad. I have been through incredibly wonderful situations and some pretty horrific ones. And so the comments you're going to hear from me are my views and my views alone. And the decisions that you will make will be your choices and your choices alone. And I would just make sure that you understand that although we all have this experience, nobody has your experience. Your experience is very personal to you and very painful to you for some people. But the truth is, it's yours and yours alone. My whole hope in the world is the work that we do here at DearMamaSal, because you understand it's not just about me, it's the team of people who regularly get together and share their stories to help other people. And our hope is that just by talking about our realities every week, that you will learn something. And if you do, please make sure you leave a comment below, or if you get an aha moment during the course of the broadcast, please make sure that you leave a comment so that other people will be encouraged to learn from that as well. All right, Jeannie's saying, we have felt the pandemic through the costs going higher. Today, I wrote to our insurance company trying to finalize our problem areas. For example, we only had $1,000 for the interior doors. Now prices have spiked, I think is the word. I found the same thing, Jeannie. And how did you feel about that? For example, when I was trying to do the lighting, they told me I had, I could spend $100 on a particular light, and there wasn't a light available unless I went for a sort of tri-clip type thing. The only light that was within that range was not one that I would ever think about putting in that area. And I found that pretty frustrating. I wonder if you've had the same thing. Yes, Jeannie's saying that prices have tripled. I definitely did find it unrealistic. And as you're going to see here in a minute, Jeannie, some horror stories about what has happened to me this week in terms of the insurance stuff, and particularly with lighting. The other thing is, if any of you do need any one-on-one help, know I am available. And also, if any of you know anybody who is trying to prep for an interview of any sort, I'm pretty sure you all know by now, that is a speciality of mine, that to get people ready to do interviews. I always say to people, getting the job interview booked is because of your history, but getting the job is a whole nother story. And that is something that I work very hard with people. All right, so how about this first quote? Don't let your emotions distract you from doing what needs to be done. Control your emotions, or your emotions will control you. Anybody had anything relating to that this week? All right, that you let your emotions get in the way of what needed to be done? Or can you honestly say that I have now learned to control my emotions and stop that being a problem? And it doesn't really matter which side of the fence you sit on this one, because the important thing is that you're aware that they are two different issues. We all have the emotion, but are you capable of controlling them? I want to give an example if I can. Hang on a second. Let me just read what Jeannie has said. She's saying that when she realized that the prices had tripled, she felt bad, but we're finding items online. Yes, so, and that's another thing. And I'm going to get to my lighting story in a minute, Jeannie, and perhaps we can talk a bit more about it when I get to that point. I want to just start by talking about something that happened to Lauren. For those of you who don't know, Lauren is one of our viewers, and she lives in Tasmania. That's the little island at the bottom right-hand corner of Australia. So she's pretty diametrically opposed geographically from where I am, because I'm sitting in southern British Columbia in Canada, and she is all the way down there at the bottom tip of Australia. And she, for those of you who don't know, Lauren spends her life in a wheelchair, and she has been going through a particularly tough year. She, lost a couple of family members. All sorts of things have been going on with her. But she, being who she is, decided to go back to doing her university work, which is a pretty big thing. And she did it in the midst of grieving one family member. And I was just so impressed with her ability to do that. However, what she found out was as soon as she got into her university class, she realized that there was an exam that was going to happen at the end of it. Now, there were all sorts of things that came up for Lauren about that. But the interesting thing was, instead of doing what she might normally have done, which is just to worry about it and get upset about it and feel uncomfortable about it, and what am I going to do, this, that, and the other, she actually wrote and said, is there any way she could take that exam at home based on the fact that this, and this? And she did that as soon as she felt uncomfortable. And the most incredible thing was that they wrote back and agreed to do that for her. So you understand this whole thing about either you get sucked into the morass of what this is about, or you can become what they call proactive and go, okay, that upsets me a little bit. Before I get too upset, let me find out if there is a plan B available. I'm certain I'm not the only one that has this problem at this time and pandemic. Okay, so Sandy is saying, I completely had that today. Needed to get some labs done, almost canceled the appointment over anxiety of having to physically go. I did end up going, but I was very close to canceling. So that is a wonderful example of overcoming your fear. Now, for those of you who don't know, in this group, we say, it's just a little thing that, like our own mantra, we say, if you're concentrating on the past, that's going to drive you into depression. But if you're worried about things in the future, that's called anxiety. And so that's just how we sort of do it. So here was Sandy, typical example, creating her own anxiety. But Sandy is not a stupid human being. So tell us, Sandy, if you will, let us know, why were you so concerned that you wanted to cancel it? Because you said, I almost canceled the appointment over anxiety of having to physically go. What was your fear? Was it your fear of, because you're not stupid. And, to me, when we understand that that voice in our head that goes, no, you don't want to go, you don't want to go. To some small extent, that voice is always trying to protect you. There we go. All right. So Sandy, who lives in Quebec, I think, either that or Ontario, I can never remember which. Anyway, so Sandy's saying that her concern was over COVID numbers being around other people. Yes. So what did you do to overcome that fear, Sandy? Yeah, that's right, Ontario. So what did you do to overcome it? Because the voice in your head wanted to protect you. You understand that, right? The voice in your head said, hang on, you don't want to go. And Sandy's telling me here, the highest numbers to date happening in Ontario at the moment. That's pretty scary stuff. And so what did you end up saying to yourself that gave you enough relief, if you like, to be able to take that chance? Because, you know, it is a chance, isn't it? And getting those tests done for you was very important as well. For those of you who don't know, Sandy has diabetic issues. And she has, you know, a system that helps her, but, you know, it needs constant monitoring and things. So I understand, Sandy, that getting those tests done was something really important for you. In fact, important enough that you overcame your fear to that degree. You might have still been scared about going, but you overcame enough of the fear to be able to actually go. And Jeannie's saying, you're brave, Sandy. I'm proud of you. Yes. But, you know, I do understand that you're like Lauren being concerned about her exam. You must have done something to help yourself, Sandy. All right. The same thing as when Lauren felt that pressure building up and hang on a second, I don't know if I want to do this in a pandemic. Don't know if I want to expose myself to that degree. She actually, you know, I say it a lot here, seek first to understand. In other words, she contacted the university and said, let me know if there is any way I don't have to come and do an exam there and expose myself. All right. And guess what? They'd already agreed to that. Sandy's saying, I knew I had to go because I know I need a certain amount of A1C tests done to keep my grant for my pump. Okay, so there you go. That's called money motivation. All right, so Sandy has a pump that pumps meds into her. And in Canada, we have a very different health system, as you know. But what she's saying is that in order to keep that pump, to keep the grant to have that pump, she actually needs to make sure she has a A1C test. That's a blood test that gets done to find out how much glucose is running through your body. And I think it was Beth that gave me the greatest analogy of that, I thought, because it made so much sense. For those of you who don't know about diabetes, if you can imagine that you have got a warehouse sitting inside your body, and in this warehouse, you know, it likes to store sugar. Okay, so all the sugar goes in here. But if you end up eating too much sugar or carbs, what will happen is, you know, the warehouse manager says, so sorry, we're full up. You need to go find somewhere else to live. And so what happens is, you know, the truck comes, if you like, the truck comes along with extra sugar in it, and it has to bypass, and now it ends up just flowing in the bloodstream. And the A1C is a test that they do to find out how much of that loose sugar, if you like, is running around your system over the last 3 months. I'm not sure how it does that, but that's basically what the test does. So I hope that it describes it well enough for people. But I love that analogy of the warehouse is full, and so how much extra sugar is running around in your system. So what Sandy is saying, she needs to get this test done to find out how much, you know, is running around her system. And she's saying, I told myself to just do it now and get it over with, and not to keep more anxiety for the next time. I knew it would be fine. I had my mask and I had a good filter. Yes, and that is the whole thing. You know, as we say so often, Sandy, feel the feeling. That's human nature. You do understand that. Everybody, has that level of fear. And especially where you are in Ontario, where your numbers of COVID are higher than they've ever been, that's an understandable fear. And quite honestly, you would be less than intelligent if you were not fearful of that. All right, so I want you to give yourself a pat on the back for feel the fear. Was it Terry Cole Whitaker, right, who said this? Feel the fear, but do it anyway. In other words, feel the fear, and then because your body is trying to protect you, your mind is trying to protect you, going, no, 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 you don't want to go out there. It's dangerous out there. But the same thing should be happening every time you get into a car, because, you know, the car is more dangerous than a lot of things in our lives. So what happens is you then need to rationalize with your brain to let it know you're going to be okay, we hope. And therefore, what can I do to minimize the risk? And Sandy's saying she's got a mask and she's got a good one with a good filter, and that is, you know, going to keep her as safe as possible. Sandy's also saying, for me as a type 1 diabetic, my body doesn't make any insulin, so I have to take insulin to keep that sugar under control. Yes, it's not a maybe. And so, you know, I look at it and go, I think the important thing for people to understand, Sandy, is that you were really fearful, but you controlled your emotion. All right? And the way you control it is by going, not what I'm scared of, what can I do? Right? You had to have asked yourself, what can I do? And the answer was, I can wear my mask, I can wear my filter. You probably, did you take extra disinfectant with you, your hand sanitizer, things like that? I believe that this is the way of our new norm. And well done, Sandy. It's always lovely to have real life stories like this of people overcoming a fear. And I thank you. And so here we go again, right? Don't let your emotions distract you from doing what needs to be done. That's what Sandy did. She didn't let her emotion of fear control what needed to be done. She controlled her emotions rather than let her emotions control her. But again, understand that the emotion was valid, right? There's nothing wrong with having the emotion. And Sandy's saying, oh, yes, and I also made sure I was dressed in a way that I didn't need to shed extra clothing. Ah, so you made that easy for them to get to your arm, minimize the time you were there. Very clever. Well done. And again, from that great philosopher, DearMamaSal, remember that your emotions are on you, all right? Emotion is your reaction to life. You have control of it or not. And I like to say that you have control of it if you choose to. And if you do the work necessary to learn how to control your emotion, which Sandy has done. And a big round of applause to you, Sandy. Sandy's saying, sadly, though, I made a boo-boo, and it was to be a fasting blood draw. And I missed that detail. So I have to do it all again on Monday. Yes, and I can imagine you have a bit of emotion around that as well. All right? So when you realized you had made that boo-boo, I'm pretty certain that your first reaction was not kind to yourself. But then I can hear from just the way you're wording it that you just go, it is what it is. It needs to be done. I'm going back on Monday. And I will leave a lot of notes everywhere to remind me that it's fasting. I assure you that when I have to do a fasting something, Sandy, I leave notes on my coffee maker. I leave notes on my mirror. You know, I love writing on my mirror in my bathroom. I leave notes on my mirror in my bathroom. Oh, that's a story coming up as well. You know, and it's just like, because you don't want to repeat that again. And by the way, I did it once where I read all the notes and kept totally in control, got in the car and grabbed a piece of chewing gum and stuck it in my mouth while I was driving. That's a habit that I got into when I, you know, quit smoking many years ago. But, you know, it was just like, it was so spontaneous. And I got all the way to where I was to do the blood test, Sandy, and I was still chewing the gum. And they said, isn't this fasting? And I went, yep. And they said, are you chewing gum? And I went, Ah, no, after all this, after 10 hours of fasting, and then I'm chewing gum. And Jody has said, Sandy, I've made that mistake too. Yes, and Sandy's saying, I missed it on the form. I looked at the form 100 times and I missed it. Hello, welcome to being a human being. We all know that feeling. But luckily, I'm pretty certain you won't let the fear stress you out as much on Monday. For those of you who understand that this time next week, God willing, and the internet working, I will be doing this broadcast next week from my home. And I just wanted to let you know that as a human being, that I am definitely feeling some of the pressure beginning to build, and it's building exponentially as each day comes closer, because as each day comes closer, I have more things I need to juggle, more reasons to be in two places at the same time, more reason. Well, anyway, it's a night. No, it's not a nightmare, but it is stressful. And what I've said is, I need to do a lot. All right. And, after 6 months of pandemic, we're not used to doing a lot, right? We're used to things calming down quite a bit. And I have to order a lot of things. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. I've had to juggle a lot of things, where my plan was this, but because this is happening, I got to juggle it and make a difference, right? And this, with just less than a week to go, I will move. Finally, the first night I will spend there will be next Thursday. And Jeannie's saying, I'm so happy for you, so glad to see you go back home. And there's part of me that's going, I hope I feel the same this time next week, Jeannie. Because, as you probably know, things will not be perfect when I get home. But I will talk about that. First of all, some feelings of achievement this week. Did any of you get any feelings of achievement? I did. I started packing. And by the way, it was a great feeling when I actually put the tape on the first box. Do any of you relate to that? It was like, okay, box done. Yeah, excellent. And I put it aside. And how many of you know I've already had to open it? So now I've decided I'm not putting the tape on the boxes as I finish them until the last day, because I'm going to waste an awful lot of tape that way. Because what I realize is the stuff that is here is important stuff to me. That's why it's with me at the moment. And I've got to remember, it's not just that it is extra stuff. The stuff I have with me now is this is what I need to live stuff. And so, putting them in a box and closing the box, it wasn't highly intelligent, but I didn't realize until I'd done that. And Jeannie's saying she had achievement this week. She prepared a box of clothes for her grandson. And that's great. So of both your grandsons? Yes, of my grandsons, plural. That's awesome. And sent them out for Easter. Yes, we're not very far away, are we? What day is Easter? We must be getting close to Good Friday, a couple of weeks. So it's, amazing, isn't it? So my wish for you all is to remember what we work hard to remember, which is, and it's another quote from me, which is, in each situation you encounter, stop and control your emotion before you act, or if you think about it, or act out. If any of you have had children or know any, you will know that children don't think before they act. All right? They spontaneously react. So it's very genuine emotion that comes out of them. And, like the words I hate you, as a mum, you learn to ignore those words, because why? I hate what you won't let me do is really what they're saying. And you learn to adjust to those words. You don't believe that they hate you. They just, they just hate that you didn't let them have their way. And that's one of the things that processing is all about. And so if you remember that, stop and control your emotion before you act or act out. If you have been snippy to somebody else because they said something that upset you, that means that you didn't control your anger. Make sense? Or your frustration or whatever. And that is on you. It's not on them. All right. So Jeannie's saying, we've talked a lot about finding bargains. Did you know that one of the dollar stores has penny days or even 70% off? Yes. I think it's very important that we get joy out of finding those sort of deals. And I'm pretty certain that you're all finding, for example, things like Facebook Marketplace. You find deals near you that are quite amazing, although you have to be pretty patient as well, because there's a lot of stuff that they write, that this is a $1 deal, but when you actually click on it, it's not a $1 deal at all. It's just a clickbait thing. They want you to click on it, so that's why they word it like that. And so I would encourage you all to have that feeling, but also be careful. There are a lot of scammers out there, and they're everywhere. There are a lot of scammers, by the way, and I want to warn you about this again, a lot of scammers about the vaccine. People who will be phoning you up and saying, you're online for your next vaccine. We just need to get a couple of details from you. So please, be careful. Do not give any information out about yourself over the telephone. What I do is, if somebody says, this is your bank phoning you about your credit card and we just need to clear up a couple of details, I will say, not a problem. Let me call you back. Give me the case number and I will call you back. All right? So I don't want to feel that I'm being manipulated. If this is a genuine call, I can phone my bank. Yes, it'll waste a lot of time. I can phone my bank credit card and I can give them a case number and say, did you guys call me today? Because what do I know? If they did, there's a record of it. All right? And so to me, this is really important that we understand that we need to control this. Jeannie's saying that she found 2 outfits for $3 each. Isn't that amazing? And also she found some caps for the boys, 30 cents each. Yeah, this is like the virtual flea market now that we have. And Jody's saying Marketplace has been a life changer for us over the past year. But I put quite a bit of time into researching items and checking people's selling history before we buy. Good for you. That's called be prepared and not scammed. Yeah, well done. Now then, I want to talk to you a little bit about some frustration that I felt. And Jeannie, I'm certain you've got your stories about this. But I got a notification this week. You will remember that they had to replace my vanity. Well, in fact, they've replaced everything in my bathroom. But when they replaced the vanity, for some reason, the distance between the top of the vanity and the ceiling has now changed. And the whole unit that I had, that was like a mirror with it had a beautiful little shelf at the bottom where you could put your makeup, very clever. But it was old, and, when I say old, it was, from way back when. But the thing was, it was really useful. Well, guess what? They told me this week that they can't replace it because the space is no longer big enough to put that whole unit back in. What do you think I felt? And by the way, there's part of me that you guys know me well. There's part of me that went, you didn't check that out beforehand, that you knew that you needed this much space for that unit. But, as we keep saying every week, being frustrated about it, being judgmental about it, being upset about it, doesn't change a darn thing. And so now then, they then said to me, oh, well, don't worry, Sal, what we're going to do is we are going to put up a whole big mirror for you, even bigger than the previous mirror. Put up a big mirror for you. Well, you know what that means. They're going to get a dirty, great piece of plain mirror and stick it on the wall. I don't know about you. It's not the same as this thing that I had. So I wrote and said, okay, that is acceptable to me if you frame it. And by the way, if you want to frame it in crown molding stuck to the mirror, that is fine by me, because I've done that. That there's a difference between just a straight piece of mirror and then something that looks like it's meant to be. In other words, it looks like it's in a picture frame. It makes all the difference when you walk into a room. So it's just like, yeah, but do you understand that getting upset about it, not going to change a darn thing? And Jeannie's saying, that they should be paying for the new item, that needs to go in there. And yeah, it's all covered in the insurance. I understand that, but it's still the thing. Beveled? Are you talking about the mirror being beveled? I have no idea. I doubt it. I think they will go the cheapest route possible, because that's what happens, and that's why I'm saying that to have it framed is important to me. Now, the other thing, part of the frustration, but let me make sure I get this straight, first of all. Do you all understand that anger does not make the mirror unit that I had any smaller? Anger does not help me one bit. The sooner I accept the reality and move on, the better. Does that make sense to you all? I just need to know it doesn't fit. They need to put mirror there. Mirror they can cut to size. Very important. And by the way, the mirror will not be there for next week. Why? Because they are going to install the mirror and the shower doors at the same time. It saves them money, obviously, to do it all in one day. And so now they're waiting for the shower doors to arrive, and then they will install them both on one day, the mirror and the shower doors. So I think I might have mentioned this before. What they're doing in the meantime is to give me a shower curtain in my new shower. And by the way, when I finish this broadcast, I am going to go to the house and take more pretty pictures for you of what's happened. So for those of you who like to see those pictures, join us this evening. I not only said they should frame it, but they should paint it in the matching white gloss. So, losh. You can probably imagine what this feels like at the moment. And the trick, I would like to say, is to just keep aware that my ability to control my emotion in the coming week is the most important thing. Yes, and Sandy's reminding me that the possibility is that both the glass for the shower doors and the mirror are coming from the same place, so easy to do one delivery. All right, so you do know that they'll probably want to deliver it at 8 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, all right, we'll deal with that one when it happens. How about this one? Joel Osteen said, every day we have plenty of opportunities to get angry, stressed, or offended. But what you're doing when you indulge in these negative emotions is giving something outside of yourself power over your happiness. You can choose not to let the little things upset you. You can choose not to let the little things upset you. How many of you are saying, but Sal, that isn't a little thing. That's a big part of your bathroom that they just took away. Well, I don't see that. I look at it and go, you know something? It was, probably from this 80s. You know, I just happened to like it. I thought it had a lot of character. And I had said to them before they put it back, please paint it white. So, but, you know, the thing is this, it's not the end of the world, all right? And so it's like, I just need to let go of my feelings and my attachments to the old thing and move on, let them replace it. Now, you're probably asking me, have I made a plan B about the little shelf that used to be there that I could put my makeup on? Well, there's part of me that going, well, maybe this is God's way of telling me, you know, not to put my makeup on display all the time. Well, hello. That is my right if I want it to be. You know what I was thinking about? You know, I always like to think of a plan B and C. And I'm going, you know, if I really need a little shelf like that, I might buy some of those little stick-on shelves that you can put in a bathroom. You know, the little wire baskets, and stick them to the mirror so that I can have the regular, you know, things actually, you know, lined up or along the bottom. I'm even going, yeah, that would work. Or actually take a small shelf, build a small shelf. I'm capable of doing that. And with that double-sided, very sticky tape that I've got when I can find it, and put that against the mirror and still have that shelf, because I didn't realize how useful that shelf was until I moved in there. It's very useful. What I will do is I will take a picture of the other one so that you guys can see what I'm talking about. When I go there today, I will take a picture of the unit, because I have the same unit in both bathrooms. So do you understand? In order to get over the emotion of loss, that feeling of loss, I need to go, okay, what can I do? That's looking forward to the future. And that will change my mentality. So I already came up with a plan B, and I was pretty happy. Fear. I've had fear this week. Anybody had any fear this week? My fear was, over the last couple of weeks, I would say, I have been waking up at, first of all, I've been having very fitful sleep. You know, my Fitbit shows me the pattern of my sleep, and I want to assure you that I didn't bring my phone with. Yes, I did. That some of my patterns have been looking like, you know, some sort of roller coaster. And it's been, quite honestly, quite scary, because I keep waking up choking. And I don't mean that I wake up coughing. I mean struggling to breathe. Literally choking like it's life-threatening, and trying to rip off a mask. You know, I have one of those CPAP machines, trying to rip off the mask so that I can get air, which, you know, is stupid, because the mask gives you air. So, you know, it's been very scary indeed. Just want to show you some of those patterns so you can see what I'm talking about. Let me go back a bit here. Yeah, so can you see how many times I did not, you know, I woke up? Those red dots are where I wake up. And what you can't see is that there are little wake ups in, you know, in between all of that. So that is like one, but let's go to another, just so you can understand this is what's happening. It is scary stuff. How about this one? Yeah, this will give you a pretty idea of why I'm not sleeping very well. Yeah. How about this one? Now, you can probably see that that isn't what you might call a very restful sleep. So what happened was that a couple of nights ago, I woke up and I was choking so badly that it frightened me more than the other days. And I went, wow, I need to change something. This is not good. And so the first thing I did was, I don't know if any of you can relate to my mentality on this one. I started to smile and give thanks. I gave thanks that the good news was that I kept waking up choking. Do you understand? The reason I was choking was because I couldn't breathe and I could have died, And first thing I did was to say, thank you very much for waking me up. That actually I was able to pull off the mask and grab air and be okay. Can you understand that? Really important. But then I started to think, is there any correlation, any sort of link between this strange, I want to call it almost bipolar type sleep pattern? Did something change that created that? And what I realized was that I had changed my CPAC mask about the time when this, pattern started to emerge. And so then I said to myself, what if it's the mask? Or what if it's the new water reservoir I put into the system? Because if you remember the very first night I used that, I know Jody remembers this because we discussed it, but the very first night that I put that reservoir in, it literally sent water down the tube, and I was being waterboarded by my own machine. Very exciting, So I'm going, wait a minute. Now, the only way I can find that out is to stop using that reservoir, that tubing, and that mask. So what I did is 2 nights ago, I took the whole system away and put back my original system, which was due for replacement, but it had worked for me. And the difference was, if I can show you that, let me just see if I've got last night's for you so you can see the difference. And the reason I am telling you this is because sometimes it is a simple matter of deduction. You just need to be a little bit of a detective on these things. I'm just going to show you this. Okay, so this was my sleep pattern for last night. Can you see? I only woke up once during the night, and that's looking pretty good, isn't it? All right? It doesn't look quite as manic as the other one. And the night before was the same. So now what do we know? Whatever is causing it has to do with either the mask, the tube, or the reservoir. So now that I've found out that I've got back to having a decent night's sleep, now I'm going to systematically change things. The next thing I'm going to do is to go back after I've had a couple of, I'll probably stay on this week just because I got too much stress going on to play the game. But then once I've settled at home a little bit, I'm going to start replacing the mask and the tube to the new ones, but keep my original reservoir, because I think it may be the reservoir that caused the problem. You know what I mean? And then I will step by step replace things to see where is the problem. So it was, I don't mind telling you, it was scary. Hi there, Trina, good to see you. And Trina's saying, hi, Sal, and everyone. Hope all is well. I haven't been here live for a while, but I love listening back. Well, we love that you are still part of the family, Trina. And for those of you who don't know, Trina comes from Ireland, and I hope you had a wonderful St. Paddy's Day. And Trina, big hugs to you. And is there anything that you need to talk about or would like us to talk about today? But thank you for popping in and talking. And while we're waiting for that reply from Trina, Jody is saying, it scared me to my core, what happened to me. Now, I asked Jody whether she had any major feelings about this, because I don't know if you remember, but Jody was kind enough to send me extra mask and tubing and a tank. In fact, she sent me 2 sets. And the reason is because she gets more than she needs, and we both use the same machine. And it cost me a fortune to get those here in Canada. So Jody, it's like, okay, ship it over. And Jody has extras, and that's lovely. Thank you. It's called Friendship. And so my first question to Jody was, how did you feel when you heard that the gift that you sent me might have caused me to choke? Can you imagine if you're human, you would have some sort of feeling about that? And Jody's saying that it scared her to her core. But do you all understand this is not Jody's fault? Right? That's the main thing. Yeah, Trina's saying, had a lovely St. Patrick's Day, different, no pubs open again. All right, this is the 2nd year, right? Because the pandemic started just before Paddy's Day last year. The lockdown started just before Paddy's Day last year. But, it is what it is. You're right, Trina. We will celebrate very differently in a couple of years' time, God willing, that we're still alive. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather take these precautions and stay alive. Bee Gees, Staying Alive. Was it the Bee Gees? Dum, 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 dum. Stay alive, stay alive. What dates me? Yeah, let's stay alive. That's good. Actually, it's a good song for the pandemic. Trina, you're always the one about the lipstick. Here you go. Today is lipstick combination, Trina. This is by Rimmel, I think. 210. First of all, the darker one. Got it? Hang on a second. I'm not getting paid by this, people. So this is a Rimmel 210. It's a really nice color. Sort of autumny color. And then on top of it, I've got a Revlon. Oh, look at that. Revlon 210. Which I wanted to tone it a little bit into this color. That's the one I put in the center. Okay. And the combination gives you this. Are you happy now, Trina? Or is it M? I never know which one of you. One of you always wants to know about the lipstick. Oh, you also have the Rimmel 210. Well, there you go. It's a great color. I bought it, I would not normally buy that color, but I thought, something, when I had nothing, when I left the house with nothing, I needed some lipsticks, and I thought, I think I'm just going to go with what would be good colors for fall and winter. And, I've loved the color, and it goes, nicely with this. Well, I think it does anyway. So let's go back to this thing. Can you relate to Jody feeling terrified about the fact I was choking on the level that she is a friend, not only my admin, but she's also a friend? But can you also understand that there must have been a little bit of Jody in, like, I sent her that mask and system. So, but Jody's smart enough to know she didn't cause the problem. The mask did, or the reservoir did, or, whatever. And we still haven't identified what it is. I'm beginning to think, Jody, that it probably is the tank itself, the tank that holds the water. Because if you remember, that was a problem the very first night. And now, what if it's an ongoing problem? So that'll be the first thing I change out when I try to get it all back together again, which I will. But for the moment, it was pretty scary. I don't mind telling you that. Now, do you all realize that tomorrow is spring? Or if you happen to live where Lauren lives, which is south of the equator, that tomorrow you will be moving into fall. And I don't know why, but there's something that my mom used to always say, and it's terribly bad English, and I can't imagine my mom intentionally using very bad English, but because she was a freak about things. But I always remember that she used to say, the spring has sprung, the grass has riz, I wonder where the birdies is. You know, for some reason, whenever I think of spring, I can hear her saying that. Spring has sprung, the grass has riz, I wonder where the birdies is. So we will start spring at 5:37 a.m. Well, here in my part of Canada, we will, tomorrow morning. Isn't that wonderful? So time to enjoy spring. How many of you are going, you know, I'm so looking forward to some decent weather. Now, all right, so yeah, I agree with you. Jody's saying, I don't think that the problem is in the tubing. It's more likely to be either the mask or the tank. I agree with you. And that's why, and I think because I had the problem with the tank the first night, that maybe I should have taken more notice of that. And, you know, that's why, so when I get settled, I will start by, you know, keeping my original tank, but put the tubing and the mask back and see, do I still have, you know, does my sleep stay pretty solid? And if it does, then I know, okay, it's the tank, ditch that tank and, you know, move on to another one or find another one. Now, you will notice, maybe, for those of you who are regular viewers, you will notice that we haven't got the big leak growing up here. And the reason is, these are still the cabbages growing, by the way. The reason is because I harvested that big leek. I harvested down to here. This literally, I harvested it to here. This is how much it's grown this week. Now, what is the feeling? Astonished. I had no idea that leeks grew that quickly. But because leeks have that onion flavor, you know, basically I now know one or two of those are going to keep me going without having to buy onions if I want to. And for those of you who've noticed, I've even got an onion here to show you that I want to see how long it takes. I just put an onion that came in the grocery and I just put it in some water. And, you know, this is what the roots have done. This is what I think my second week, right? So I'm waiting to see how long before some greenery pops up the top. But I need to give it a bit of air because I noticed I got some mold going there. So needs to have a bit of a rinse out and a clean. Not going to happen right now. It's going to happen tomorrow. So to me, the story about, remember the mirror story? Well, it got worse. Because no sooner had I got that mirror thing sorted out, then I got another call, which was, oh, and now that they've got the mirror slab going there, the lighting that you picked won't fit anymore. And so what I've got was an email from the lighting person saying, so I need you to go down to the store and get another one. Well, I started to get a bit chirpy about that in my head. Like, you've just told me that the one I picked will no longer fit where we need it to. But the question is, what will? Now, only one person knows that. That's the lighting person. So I took a really deep breath and calmed down. I didn't tell him what I thought of him. What I said was, I wonder if you'd be good enough to give me some options of what you know will fit there, and then I will make a decision. You know, I don't, you imagine I go to the store, pick a light, and that doesn't fit either, and I will have already bought it. How insane is that? This is called, no, show me what will fit, and I will make a choice. Really. This lighting guy and I are not on the same. If you remember, this lighting guy is the guy that started so late that everything has been a rush. You know, he didn't contact me early and start making these decisions early. No, he did it all in the very last couple of weeks. And, you know, and I'm paying the price for his lack of planning. So I'm not going there. I really have no wish to do that. And by the way, if I don't have lights in my bathroom for a couple of days, do I care? I've got a second bathroom. I'll make a plan. You understand? Now, Trina's saying, how many people have been vaccinated here? We know that Jody has, right? Oh no, Jody's already got she got her appointment. We know Kim has. I remember Kimmy saying that she has. Somebody else, I think Beth has as well. Anybody else that we know of? Yeah, Jody is saying that the lighting guy is trying to make his lack of planning my problem. And you know me well enough, I don't go for that. Yeah, and Jeannie's saying in her world, with her rebuild going on, they're going backwards and forwards about interior doors. But what I do know is this, and I want to talk to you about this. Do you agree that life gets in the way, whatever you're trying to organize, right? I knew this was going to happen. I'm not surprised by it. I was prepared for this to happen. And therefore, my whole mentality is in a different place. All right? Remember to go with the flow. So to me, it's like, okay, fine. I expected there to be this chaos in the last couple of weeks, and it's happening, and that's fine. Just remember to concentrate on your options. What are my options? I can't have this. Okay, that's reality. What can I have? Give me my options. Because once you can see what your options are, getting upset is just not going to change the reality. I can't have what there was there. So let me find out what I can have. That's what I want to know. Yes, and Jody's saying life regularly gets in the way of my plans. My question to you, though, Jody, is since you've been part of Dear Mama Sal, has the way in which you cope with that changed? You know, are you getting as upset with everything when life gets in the way, or are you going, yeah, well, that's life, and therefore I now get to choose. Do I want to get upset, or do I want to make a plan here? Sandy's saying that her mum has had her first injection. That's good. My sister has had hers. She had the J&J, by the way. She's in the States, but she's had hers. And Jeannie's saying that she and her husband York are fully vaccinated, but you're in an older age group, so that's understandable. Jeannie's saying achievement. I am again the first lector for the Holy Saturday of Easter. That's wonderful. But the reading is now abbreviated. Okay. But I think that's wonderful that you get to do that. So here we go. Stop letting people who do so little for you control so much of your mind, your feelings, and your emotions. Think about that. Stop letting people who do so little for you control so much of your mind, feelings, and emotions. Do I care that the lighting guy wants me to be his runaround person? No, I don't care at all. I'm the client. Yeah, I understand it would be much easier for him if I went and spent the time doing the shopping. But you know something? I've got enough on my plate. I don't need to go shopping. You know, do the research, give me 3 options that will work, and I will pick one. Goodbye. You know, I don't want to talk about it anymore. Jody's saying that in terms of what she's learned here at Dear Mama Sal, she's saying it certainly has changed. I was an emotional pretzel before I met you, Sal. I handle things so differently now. I protect my personal and emotional space. Isn't that wonderful? You see? But when you realize that you have control, I think that was, to me, it was one of the greatest learnings, was what you mean I have control over this? I don't have to get this bent out of shape all the time. All I need to do is not take it on. This is called, excuse me, your stress is not getting inside here. Oh, I can feel the stress. It's like this on my boundary level. They're all knocking on the door, I can assure you. But it's like, no, I'm going to do this as much as I can in my own time and space. And by the way, I keep asking for answers about things that I haven't got yet. For example, I have asked the people here at the apartment some questions about when I move out, and I haven't got an answer yet. So on Saturday, today I'm busy enough, today I will do this broadcast. I will go to the house and take some pretty pictures for you, and then I will come back and do the evening broadcast. But tomorrow I will sit down. I find it really important, by the way, that every day I sit down for about an hour and I re-look at the lists of what needs to be done. And, some things that I thought were really important are having to move back because they're not as important as I thought they were, because things more important are coming to the fore. By the way, just so that we're all up, it's Charlotte's birthday on the 30th. It's coming up pretty soon. And it's also Chris, Max's dad, Chris, it's his birthday on the 30th as well. So would you agree that when you control your thoughts and emotions, you actually control everything? They don't control you anymore. When you control your thoughts and your emotions, then you have control. And how many of you found that this, okay, plan A doesn't work, what's plan B? I want to give you a classic example of that. I've taught this to everybody that I know. Always have plan B, because plan A very rarely works. And I would recommend having, more than plan B. Let me give you an example of that. I ordered some stuff from Amazon. Now, hang on a second. Jody's saying, oh, wait a minute, let me go back. Jeannie's saying, achievement. I made cabalsa baked bean tacos for us upstairs neighbors yesterday. How kind of you. You're always doing nice things like that. You and Jody both. Jody's saying, a light bulb went on when I realized it was okay to live my life for me and not solely for the decisions of others. For years, I couldn't even make the simplest decisions because of the controlling relationship I'd been in. Totally understand that, Jody. And Trina's saying, today I gave my parents a notepad that I made for them out of questions that I need to be answered by them going forward, their wishes. And they're like, wow, that is amazing that that's a very awkward conversation to have. And I am so proud of you for doing that. Well done, Trina. So I want to talk to you a little bit about my Amazon experience, because this came under, it pressed a lot of buttons temporarily. So by next week, Thursday, I need to move back in, but I don't have anything in my bathroom. You understand that everything that was in my bathroom has been trashed. And my bathroom had a lot of stuff in it because it had 2 closets in it. I've chosen to give up one of the closets so I can have the wall-to-wall shower. But the truth is, it had 2 closets in it, and they were both full. And not only 2 closets, but 2 closets and a vanity with 6 drawers in it. So and a cupboard underneath. So there was a lot of stuff in there, and I lost, as you know, like $12,000 worth of stuff from just that and the damage in my bedroom. So I have to work out what is essential to my life that I need to have. Now, it's quite simple, really, because a lot of it I bought already to live here, but this was a fully furnished apartment. So part of my trick of thinking is, what is in this apartment? What was here when I came here that was essential? because when you have a furnished apartment, they put the essential things in. And then I realized it's the simple things, like a toilet brush, like a toilet plunger, like a waste paper basket. And I literally have been going through the apartment going, okay, I don't have that anymore. I don't have that anymore. I don't have, and that's my shopping list. So then what I do, I go to Google and I go to Amazon and I start, in order of importance to me, start buying these things. Now, I put a big note on the shipping instructions. Do not ship until next week. House is under renovation. Please do not ship until next week. Now, I don't know about you. That's what you call pretty obvious instruction. Well, the first 2 parcels arrived yesterday. Another one will be there today. Another one tomorrow. And then another one next week. And that's just my first order. So is getting angry about it going to change the reality? No. But this is where plan A, B, C, D, and E came in, because I then wrote to my neighbor and said, hey guys, I've got a parcel or 2 arriving today. And I know that they quite often see the truck arrive to deliver my parcels. So I said, I will give you warning when they've told me that it's been delivered. But would you be able to make sure that the parcel is safe for me? If not, I will come over. But you understand it's over half an hour for me to get to my house from here. So, and they know that. So they said, no, not a problem at all. But I'm hoping that by the time I get to my house that today's parcel will already have been delivered, because if not, I'm going to have to ask them to do it again. But here's what I said. By the way, if you're out or whatever when it gets delivered, don't worry about it. I will go to plan B, which is your neighbor. And then plan C, that would be the other neighbors that I know. And then there was plan D, some other neighbors that I got to know through the getting together last year. And then, I had all the way up to plan F. So can you see there was some humor in that? And I realized, hey, I did quite a good job of making friends in the neighborhood, because I was able to go, I've got plan A, B, C, D, E, and F about the parcels. And you'll be amazed how many of my neighbors, if they see the Amazon deliveries come, they automatically take things off my deck for me. And then they write to me and say, hey, I've got your parcel. Tell me what to do with it. Isn't that cute? Now then, let me go back here. Jeannie is saying, Trina's saying, today I gave my parents a notepad. Okay, fine. Trina's saying, I feel the family will benefit as it will be in writing. Surprisingly, my mom appreciated it and left it with them to fill in and give back to me. I am the executor. The other thing I would do, you might want to think about this, is actually to have that notarized by a notary public, which actually isn't very expensive to do, but I would do that. Get it notarized so that you know it's all legal and above board. Jeannie's talking about a grab handle. And Jeannie, what sort did you get? That was one of the things I insisted in as well. A grab handle for your shower. I've had one put in my shower because, hang on a second. Okay, if that is the back wall, because my shower will go right across that wall, I've had an L-shaped grab bar put in. Right, so that not only is there a vertical, but there's also that, actually that bit might be this way, now that I think about it. But so there's a horizontal and a vertical. And I actually thanked the guy that's doing the bathroom. I thanked him for getting such a good one. I really appreciated that. Now, what I've also found, Jeannie, is that if that is not enough, I found they make some pretty awesome stick-on type grab bars as well. And I'm going to try a couple of those just to see how effective they are. But that one in the shower is the most important one. The other thing is I made sure that I bought myself a big shower mat, that takes up hopefully about half the space in the shower. And if necessary, I will get a second one. I do have a smaller shower mat here, but, it's the wrong color. How many of you understand that? Color will be important to me when I get back. Another frustration that I have this week, some of my seedlings that I so carefully nurtured are dying. And that's because my mind's been elsewhere. I've been, my focus has gone off seedlings onto other things. So can you understand that is perfectly understandable? Seedlings and plants are things that need nurturing and need a lot of attention. They're like children. Trina's asking me, do I have a date to move home? I will actually move everything from here on Thursday. It is my plan that next week's broadcast will be from my house as long as the internet is working. Next Friday's broadcast, I will hopefully be able to open up the cupboard doors and go, oh, there you are. That is my wish. Now, whether the window behind me is all sorted out, I doubt it, but I will be home. And I can assure you there will be two things I will do next Thursday. Number one is get the kitchen as clean as I can for the broadcast. And by the way, if it's too bad, I just won't do the broadcast from the kitchen. I will do it from the futon area, and just go, hey, you guys. And I know you will all understand, but you will probably get an idea of what's going on. I'm pretty certain. And what I wanted to ask the regulars is, do you want to see what it looks like when it's in chaos next week, or do you want me to wait until I've got it all back together? Here's another question. How many of you can imagine that if I thought it was all going to be perfect next week, how disappointed I would be? Okay? So my preparation for this is I am expecting it to be chaotic next week to a large extent. I am expecting some things that I thought would, be working properly, not to be working properly. And I am so grateful that I am pretty flexible in my mind about, well, that's not working yet. Yeah, and Jeannie's saying, waiting doesn't bother me. Take your time, Salt. Yeah, it's like I will take what time I need. But I also have to say this, that that it'll be exciting for me to be able to show you some of the things and maybe some of the things that are not working. For example, what does my shower look like without any doors? I got a feeling some of you will get some humor out of that. Or what does my vanity look like without a mirror? It's all about, that's reality stuff. Or just how many boxes do I still need to unpack, even though they will have unpacked a lot of them? Because you and I both know. I mean, I'm sitting here already with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes here. Oh, 9, 10. I've got a dozen boxes that I'm working on at the moment from here alone. Now, every one of those is going to need to be unpacked. Why? It's my essential stuff that I'm bringing from here. Now, remember as well, for those of you who have a sense of humor, I'm hoping that my bed will be back. I'm hoping, I bought one of those beds that will come and you have to, and it's vacuum sealed, so it will needs days to go back into shape. But I won't have any bedside tables. So here we go. Let's see how you're doing. How would you feel if you had to move home without any bedside tables? What would be the feeling? Oh, and did I mention that all my bedside mirrors and everything, lighting also went the way of bad things. So one of the things I have done is I have ordered one LED light that I can have next to my bed. Yes, Jody, I agree. Plan B, boxes make very interesting bedside tables, varying heights. And so I will have a couple of empty boxes probably act as bedside tables. Plan B. Good. I like your thinking. What about the fact that I will not have anything to put all my clothes in terms of a closet? I have a closet. That's wrong. I have a garage door closet. That's pretty big. But I won't have any units, I don't think, to put my clothes in. For probably, I'm going to have to order them, get them delivered and made. Right, and Jeannie's saying, we have furniture stores in our garage and big items in this apartment. Bed, the love seat, the recliner, lots of new pots and pans. Yes, and a baker's rack. All right, so you got all that ready to go into the house. I don't have anywhere to put that stuff. So plus I don't need that sort of stuff. As you know, mine is the bed. It's the bed frame. I've got one of those adjustable beds that will be coming back in on Wednesday. But I am hoping that the mattress will come in by Tuesday because I want it to have a couple of days to expand. It's a pretty heavy mattress, I found out, but the mattresses these days aren't made to turn over. You just need to. By the way, how often do you rotate your mattress? Let me ask you that question, people. How often do you guys rotate your mattress? And while you're giving me that answer, let me tell you about the story about the freezer. As some of you will know that to my horror last week when I went to go and check on the house, I noticed that my stocked freezer was empty. And we all know that that meant that somebody forgot to plug it in, unplugged it for some reason, and then forgot to plug it back in again. So I got confirmation this week that it will be fully restocked. They actually took note of everything they took out, and that will all be replaced at their cost. It will not be part of my insurance claim. It will be paid for by the renovation people. And by the way, I don't feel badly about that. That's what you have insurance for. That company that made the mistake, whichever one of the subcontractors it was, they will be insured for that sort of thing. So, and if they're not, they will learn to be insured for that sort of thing. So I'm not feeling too much worry about that. Yes, and Jeannie's saying York just returned from buying 2 outside lantern lights for $60. Awesome. I'm glad that you're doing that. Trina said, I have an all foam mattress. Love it. Didn't think I would. Husband bought it, but now I love it. Yes, I'm having a combination where it is foam cores, pillows, and then a foam on top of it. So I think that's what it's called. So it's actually quite a heavy mattress. So I'll let you know. And the reason I needed that was because I have, an adjustable bed. So I'm hoping that will work. Jody's saying, can you put a tension shower rod and use it as a temporary way to hang up a few things? That's a good idea, but I don't think it's, quite honestly, Jody, I've got hanging space in my closet, right? My closet will be fine with the garage doors in front of it. What won't be fine is the dresser type things. In other words, I had cubies full of things. Those cubies are gone, and the units in which they fitted are gone. So I won't have that storage space in my bedroom, except I will have boxes. By the way, where am I going to put my television in the bedroom? And guess where? On some boxes. Until I have spoken to IKEA and bought the units I want for the bedroom, and then had them come and deliver them, build them, and put them in place. I am actually toying about whether or not to have a headboard, but I've got a feeling with adjustable bed that's not easy. I didn't have a headboard before, so. Oh, you also bought a TV. That is awesome. Now, you see, you do have the advantage of having a truck, if I'm correct, Jeannie. So, but this is wonderful that you've done this. And I think I am going to be, encouraging people to be more aware of what is possible. Jody and Lionel have done wonderful shopping within their local area. So congratulations. Do you understand that part of the way that I will deal with this coming week is to just let things happen, not try to over-control it? If I try to control it too much, I'm going to get in the way of it. Trina's asked me, was it spring when you moved in last year? I moved in January the 15th, and I owned it February the 15th. Remember, I had that 1 month where I rented it so I could move stuff in, fill the cupboards up before all the furniture came. So, you look at it and you go, the best way I can keep calm this coming week is also to keep it compartmentalized. In other words, every day, pack a little bit more. Every day, go see what's happening a little bit more. All right, if I need to. I may have to go to the house every day from now onwards. I intend today, when I go to the house, I intend to take some of my frozen stuff with me. Why? Because I want to get my frozen stuff into my freezer. I've got 2 different freezers, right? One in my fridge and then the big one. I'm going to start moving that myself so I know it's there. I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to move it on the last day and be worried about, is it thawing somewhere? Does that make sense to everybody? Because that to me is like, that's something I can do quite easily. And, it's not going to thaw in the half an hour it takes me to get to the house. So that's good. And in fact, what I will do is every day I will think about what can I take. It would be okay, for example, if I wanted to take things like my quilts, right? Because I don't necessarily, they're not critical to my everyday. They are delightful for my everyday, but not critical. So I look at it and go, it's going to be a pretty interesting week. And can you see that what will keep me grounded, if you like, will be my ability to cope with the stress? To think that it won't be stressful would in itself be not very smart. Right? It's going to be stressful. So that to me isn't a maybe. The trick is, how am I going to keep calm? How am I going to forgive myself if I get a bit snippy? Because, if I get snippy, it means that somebody got inside my personal space and I am now reacting. So my question to you all is, if you were in my position, what advice would you give me? Or what would you do to keep yourself under control? Because that is really what it's going to be. How well can I control myself? How well can I deal? Now, I did listen to whoever it was that said to me, will you be changing the locks? Now, I had never even thought about that. However, I did give it some thought, and I am beginning to work out, it would mean both the front and back doors that would need to change the locks on. So I'm giving that a bit of thought. Short term, I'm not critical about it, but it might be something I do. I also understand that that comes from a place of fear to some degree. The reason you buy the sort of renovation people that I've got is because they're all bonded and things like that. So it should not be an issue. This is my feeling. How many of you can change a lock if you needed to? Are you all experienced in that? It actually surprises me that it's easier than it first looks. I've done it many times. All right, so Trina's saying, her recommendation to me is, you do nice things during the day for yourself that you can look forward to. Buy an ice cream. Buy some takeaway fish and chips. I haven't had fish and chips in so long. Do happy things. Okay, so that is, make sure every day I do something fun for myself. Maybe poutine would be on the menu for me this week. Good idea. Yeah. And not worry too much about the health benefits. It's health food, right? Poutine. Don't worry about the sodium. Nice thinking, Trina. I like that. Excellent. Anybody else got any suggestions? If you were in my position, or what would you recommend? Jody says, sounds like you've got a sensible plan, Sal. I'd say remember to look after your nutrition, manage stress, and sleep the best you can. Yeah, and so this is it, right? Keep in balance. And what does balance mean? Keep control of how much gets into your mind. Balance means deal with the things that have to be dealt with. Balance means let go of the things that are not urgent. In other words, could I live for a month without a shower, the glass shower doors being in? Yeah, I could live for a month without them. I know I've got a shower curtain in the other bathroom that goes wall to wall. I'm not sure if that bathroom is the same width, but anyway, so I mean, I'm pretty certain I'm going to have a shower curtain. How many of you going, I'm going to have wall to wall with a shower curtain? Nothing wrong with that. Right. Will it be frustrating to not be able to put my makeup in the usual way? Well, hang on a second. I've got a spare bathroom and it's got that mirror with the shelf on it. How many of you know I will be quite happy to go and use that? There's nothing, it's a couple of extra steps, but there's nothing very complicated about that. So as long as I'm prepared to adapt, I'm going to be fine. I hope. Yes, so Jeannie's saying, get rest, eat well, take some deep breaths, exercise as usual, and enjoy the neighbors. Yes. About the exercise, I very nearly lost control of the exercise this week. And I didn't like that feeling. I went under my 8K one day this week. And I had to make a decision. Do I want to let go of it and not do my 4th marathon in a row? Or do I want to smarten up and make the time? And I decided to smarten up and make the time. Jody's saying, please don't overdo on any given day. It's going to take time but you've got the right mindset. Vent when you need to. Now, that's a very good addition to the story. Thank you, Jody. One of the things that I am a great believer in is it's a really good idea to vent, to safe people. And safe people are people who don't judge you. Venting is not about how smart you are. Venting is getting negative thoughts out of your brain. And I love to do that. And I do it a lot with Jody and with Lauren. You know, where I just go, excuse me, I need permission to vent. And I will just go, blah, 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 blah. Okay, done, thank you. And what I've done is I've got that negative thought out of my brain and onto my keyboard. I don't need them to react. I don't need them to fix it. I just need to get it out of my brain enough that I can type it. I'm not stuffing it down. Now, how many of you found that trick? It's when you pretend that they're not angry about something that the damage happens. So I have learned that if I am angry about something, yes, I've lost control of my emotion if I'm angry about something. And that doesn't make me a bad person. It means it got to me and I've been triggered. So therefore, I need to clean house. You know, it's spring cleaning time. So I need that out of my brain. And so what I do is I type it to somebody. And knowing that they don't have to answer it, thank goodness. Knowing they don't need to fix it, I just need to get it out of my brain. Trina's saying, I recommend screaming in the car. I've been doing that a lot recently on my own. I get it out of my body. Yes, if your level of anger is that deep, that's a good idea. I must admit that I've been through that phase, Trina. And it's a good thing to do. You know, I found going down, I'm luckily close to the sea, going down to the sea and screaming at the sea worked for me one day. Jody's saying, when I vent, it stops me from looping on it. It gives the hamster a rest, right? Instead of the hamster wheel going round and round and round, it's just like, I own it. I think that's what it is, guys, right? When you can own your anger and you go, you know, something that's really pissed me off. But the moment I say this really pissed me off, I am aware that I'm admitting somebody got to me and triggered me. I let them into my brain. But what I do is I just get it out and then I move on with my life. Trina's saying, get stress out all this. Okay, try that again, Trina. So you're getting stressed out with all this COVID stuff? Is that what am I interpreting what you wrote correctly? See, getting stressed out about it is not fixing it. And that's why I refuse to get stressed out about COVID. Because getting stressed out about it is only damaging my health. It's not helping anybody. And the fact that, oh, this is interesting. My sister made a little judgment call about the fact that, well, she's had her vaccine. How come I haven't had mine? I live in Canada. And, you know, you'll forgive me on this one, people, but I had to take a deep breath and say, I am that much younger. And my age group is not due to get vaccinated until April. You know, and there was part of me that just thought, I guess that says it all. And I don't know why it made me laugh, but it did. It was just like, yeah, please don't criticize. Oh, by the way, you guys in the States, I hear that you very kindly are donating 1.5 million doses of AstraZeneca, vaccine to Canada. And I'm going, that's the one nobody wants? How kind of you. We're just like, oh, nobody wants it in the States, and now you're going to donate it to Canada. Interesting. I am pretty certain anybody that's going for a vaccine is going, which one are you about to inject me with? Yeah. So Trina's saying the screaming, it gets the stress out. The COVID, I do worry. I have 2 teens doing college online at home, it's hard on everyone. You bet it is, Trina. You bet it is. It must be, bringing up teenagers alone, right, is stressful. To have them at home 24/7 is better than stressful. So yes, I think you deserve a medal, Trina. Don't you? But let me ask you something. Through all of this, have you learned anything as a family? Have you adjusted in any way? All right, that's made it more tolerable. What have you learned from this experience? Because I do believe that every one of us in our lockdown and everything else that's happened, we have all learned things that we needed to learn. And Trina's saying what she's learned is they shouldn't be here. And you know something? When they leave home and don't need you anymore, guess what? How that's going to feel. And you will be going, and to think that I said they shouldn't be here. So please change that wording because you would hate for something to happen so that they're not there. So how about you go, what you've learned is that I'll be happy when they can safely go back to college or whatever. Trina's saying one of the things that they've all learned is that we all need our own space. Yes, and it is possible to get it but you need to work at it. I think that's how many other viewers have noticed that? That, for those of you who live with other people, that you need I found, for example, that I am able to cope on my own far better than I thought I was. I'm a tactile person. I'm a huggy, touchy, feely sort of person. And having to live without being able to touch people or hold them, has been a huge gap in my life. But I've managed to hold it together pretty well in terms of that. So as we go into this week, I am going to try really hard to keep my sense of humor. Really hard to keep my sense of humor. And to remember that, to be grateful for what I have got, not complain about what I haven't. I know that tonight I will talk to you about the difference between, what you've insured and what you will get back, and how that whole system will work for or against me, and the choices I need to make about that. The same choices that Jeannie is making with her house. But it's all about choices. Did you choose to get decent insurance? Did you choose to spend money up front so if this ever happened to you, that you would be pretty well looked after? The reason I am fairly happy today is because I did pay for really good insurance. I know that. I'm not complaining about a lot of stuff because it will be covered. And Trina's saying, we're all only doing our best. I like to live by this. Yes, that's the best you can do, is to do your best and to understand that if you've got a whole family that used to be out of the house all the time and suddenly you're all boxed in, that you have learned new skills on how to cope with one another. And of course you will get triggered. Of course you will get angry with one another, right? Because you're not used to that all the time. And, young people are used, love their freedom, and they've not been able to have freedom. Before I go, I just wanted to ask you, there's been a lot in the news this week about Asian American issues, people lashing out at Asian Americans. I want to know, have any of you been victims of bullying in terms of who you are as a race? I have been bullied because I was English as a second language in my youth. I can remember being bullied for that. And I just wondered if any of you have experience of that in any way. That, you know, you have been racially profiled. If you have been, I get now, I didn't think it would ever happen, but I definitely notice that having gray hair affects the way people treat you. And it does make me a little bit testy. I don't mind telling you. When people start using words like yes, dear, and, you know, and then the other thing is, do people really think that if they speak 120 words a minute plus, that I am going to be able to understand them when they have an accent? And so do I. No, I had that happen this week where I was trying to get something done, and the person at the other end was English as a second language, as am I. And I kept asking her to speak more slowly because not only did she have the accent, but she was going, blah, 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 blah. And I'm going, ma'am, I need you to slow down so I can understand. I need you to enunciate so I can understand. You know, I'm having difficulty hearing what you're saying, not in terms of how loud it is. It's just that you're stringing the words together. It's making it impossible. And after the third time, I realized this isn't working for me. I'm getting frustrated. So I said, I need to speak to a manager. And she didn't like that at all. And I did get to speak to a manager, and the manager was delightful. And he was just, you know, he had every reason to have that title. I don't care if he was the delivery boy. All I know is, you know, he was very patient and he listened well and he understood what I was trying to get at. And he treated me with great respect. And that calmed me down considerably. And I thanked him. So if you are getting triggered, you do understand it is up to you to stop the trigger. One of the things that I hope you all know is that with so much of our telephone communication being outsourced to other countries, you know, you may think you're dealing with somebody in your country, but 9 times out of 10, you're not. The thing is, you are entitled to ask, can I speak to somebody in my own country? Or can I speak to somebody with better English skills? I don't, you know, and I say to people, I think it's wonderful that you speak English the way that you do. Don't get me wrong, but I'm having a problem understanding it. So I need to speak to somebody that I can better understand. And please don't take this as an insult. It's just my reality. Trina's saying yes. She has found that being Irish, living in the UK in 1992, she was bullied. Yes, because in those days, and do you still find that? You're back in Ireland now, though, right? I think we've all been through, you know, our own level. Jody, I'm thinking about, from what I have heard the stories from you, that in a way being disabled has been a trigger for bullying of you. People have, you know, certain people have bullied you because you are disabled. And so I look at it and go, it's a horrible feeling. And I would like to suggest that it's not going to go away. We are always going to have people that will not be smart enough to not bully. And, you know, that is the way I look at it. I try to remember that if you have a mentality where you think that bullying somebody else for where they were born or that upbringing or their lack of knowledge or whatever, if you think bullying somebody like that is a good thing, then really you are undereducated. That's the way I look at it. Because bullying is never a good thing. And Trina's saying, I lived and worked in the UK in the early 90s. Bad enough then, referred a lot as the Irish girl. Well, that is true. That's what you were, the Irish girl. So, you know, and that's the whole thing. Do you think that being called the Irish girl was racist? That's an interesting question. Did you feel it to be racist? Jody is talking about her disability. She's saying, yes, it has. Some people talk to Lionel instead of to me because I'm in a wheelchair. They have asked him what my name is when checking in at a medical appointment. And I'm right there talking with Lionel. Yeah, and you know, I'd get a sense of humor about that. And you know what I do when somebody does something like that to me, Jody? And it works really well. If Lionel is silly enough to answer for you, I would go, wait a minute. That was amazing. You asked me a question and Lionel got to answer it. It must seem like I'm a ventriloquist of some sort, which I'm not. So Lionel, I am capable of answering that question. Right? And excuse me, ma'am, if you're asking a question about me, maybe look at me, not him. You know. Now, they won't like it, Jody, but it's the truth. And, you know, if you don't correct them at the get-go, it will continue. All right, and Trina's saying, not in a nice way, I was told all people with AIDS, which was big at the time, should all be shipped to Ireland, and that I was in the IRA. Yes, well, you know, again, if you think about it, Trina, somebody with a halfway intelligent brain would not have linked either of those things together, right? Yeah, I do that a lot, Jody. You know, if somebody asks me a question and somebody answers for me, I will go, wow, look at that. A ventriloquist. You ask me the question and the answer comes out of his mouth. Hang on a second, I'll try and correct that. Shut up. Right. And I found that a lot when I was on stage with audiences, you know, and I would ask an audience member a question. I cannot tell you how many times this happened. I'd ask an audience member a question, and somebody over there, because this person wasn't answering fast enough for them, somebody over there would answer. And I'd go, wow, that is so, and I'd look at the person I asked the question to, and I'd say to them, that's incredible. I ask you a question. How did you throw your voice all the way over there and make it male? How did you do that? And, you know, the audience would just laugh. And it told the person over there, this was not directed at you. I was looking at the person I wanted that answer from. And I reminded people, how often do we do this because the other person doesn't answer quickly enough? And you know, the reason that they're probably not answering quickly enough is they're thinking before they answer. So then what I would do is I would ask the question again, and I literally would say to this person, and I'm here and I'm happy to wait for you to answer because I am polite. Now then, what is your answer? And I will put my hand up here like this to the person over there, like, don't you dare answer for her again. And I've done it with husbands and wives, you know, where literally I've asked a question of the wife and the husband answers. And I go, yeah, And I look at the wife and I go, does he do that a lot? And she, the wife will go, what? And I say, I asked you a question and he answered. Does he do that a lot? And she'll say, actually, yes. And I go, how does that feel? And she said, it pisses me off. And I said, have you told him? Because I just did. Oh, Sandy, that's why I love you. Sandy is saying, I'll admit I think I do this. I do too, honey. But sometimes we have to hear the story to realize how bad that is. All right? And so my point of view here is sometimes the very things that make us angry are the things we do ourselves. So one of the tricks in life to keep your sense of humor is to think, have I done that to somebody else this week? Right? Every time I get that call from one of the insurance, either the insurance people or the renovators or the contract people, every time I get that call that is I know going to frustrate me, I try to remember the pressure that is on them. Doesn't mean I have to go with it. I try to remember and I go, look, I'm sorry. I know this must be really stressful for you in the last couple of days trying to get it all finished. But hey, if it's not all finished on time, I'm okay with that. So don't worry too much. I know that there's going to be huge pressure for me to sign off on the money side. I am in a fortunate position where I don't have to sign off on it in a hurry. I can take my time, and I'll talk more about that tonight. Sandy is saying that in terms of interrupting and answering for other people, I do it more for my kids, and they aren't answering because they are shy. But yes, I'm guilty and I will be more aware. Well done, Sandy. And by the way, here is the thing. Maybe the reason they are shy is because they are never given the chance to answer. And what if you said to them, hey, I'm not going to answer for you today. How about you answer for yourself? You're an adult now. Your children are grown, Sandy. They're, what did you say, 19 and 21, I think? So this is called, okay, well, hang on a second. How big are your children, Sandy? Oh, so sorry. It's Trina's children are older. Okay, they're 12, 12, and 10. I want to tell you, can you remember being 12? And can you remember parents treating you like you were an idiot? And I would say to them, hey, if you don't feel being grown up enough yet to answer that for yourself, let me know. But I'd like to give you the opportunity to answer. Why are people shy? There's a fear. I want to tell you something. If you think about it, I would really think about why are children shy? They are embarrassed to give a wrong answer. They are embarrassed not to know something. This is a huge learning moment for them if you choose to use it that way. To teach them not to feel stupid, or to teach them that it's okay to feel that you might give the wrong answer. Explain to them that it happens to you every day. Oh, here we go. Sandy's saying, I was and I am very shy as a person. My kids are as monkey see, monkey do. But you're not going to teach them to live in the real world if you allow them to continue not to answer things. You are keeping them in your cycle of shyness, and I wouldn't do that. I really would, if you can't do them, I would get them some help with that. So, I look at it, Sandy, and go, one of the worst things we can do to our children is teach them everything we know. Because we will teach them our bad habits as well as our good ones, if that makes sense. How about that? Wonderful. All right, I need to get out of here. I got things to do, pictures to take. I will see you this evening, hopefully. I hope you found some value in today's broadcast. And that's, and by the way, Sandy is saying, not always, but I do see it on their faces, and that's when I step in. I would encourage them, Sandy, not to show it on their face, but to put it in words. Actually encourage them to say, Mom, could you answer that for me? And then I would look at them and go, okay, but is that because you don't know the answer? Right? And I would check each time, all right? What is the reason that they want you to answer? They are at 10 and 12. They are old enough to be answering questions. And it's going to be important for them. And I would have you use it as a learning moment from this point onwards. All right, good stuff, people. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for looking after me. I do appreciate it. I hope you can feel it. And I am certain that we will have lots of shared memories in the coming week. I don't know why, but today of all days, I thought the next time I do a Friday broadcast, I will not be picking up this mug. How many of you are looking, I hope it survived. How many of you are looking forward to seeing the DearMamaSal mug back? I am. This is DearMamaSal saying, we built a lot of memories in that house in a very short space of time. For some reason, we all bonded in that house of mine. And I loved that we did. And I am looking forward to rebonding on some of those issues. I also look forward to letting you know some of the good, the bad, and the ugly about my return, because it's life. This is DearMamaSal saying, remember, it is okay to have feelings. We all have them. It's not okay to lose control of them. It's not okay to punish other people with our feelings. Our feelings are our responsibility, not somebody else's. This is DearMamaSal saying, I love you dearly. And that's a positive feeling that I care to share. And I'll see you tonight, God willing. Bye-bye for now.